Good morning, y'all. Dr. Amber here. It is Wednesday morning, and this morning I wanted to pop on to talk a little bit about something that I'm calling dysregulated parenting. So before I hop into that, again, I'm Dr. Amber. I'm a clinical psychologist, years of experience working with parents, with children, within school settings, within community settings. But either way, my passion is really to help mothers and parents in general to find that balance in parenthood, in motherhood, learn how to take care of themselves, learn how to be present, be regulated so that they then can better parent. So I want to talk about something really quickly, and I'm going to start off with a story. I work with a mother in therapy, and lately she's been talking a lot about her frustration with not being able to really grasp the concepts or the strategies in some of the parenting approaches that she likes to use. And I think that's common because she's a millennial woman. I am too. And as millennials, we have been well versed with all these new parenting approaches that many of us take seriously and really want to embed into our parenting lifestyles, whether it's conscious parenting, gentle parenting, positive parenting. Regardless of the one you pick, many of us know that we were raised in a manner that we maybe can see the pros and the cons, and there's a different approach we want to take with our kids. Many of us want to be more gentle with our kids. Many of us want to be more mindful and intentional about our kids' emotional development. Many of us want to make more space for our kids' emotions, period, so that they can feel safe in our relationships with us and not be afraid of us. So my client is working through that process of really identifying which parenting approach is good for her. But she's becoming frustrated because she's feeling like no matter what happens, no matter what she wants to do in terms of the desires of how she wants to mother, and no matter what she's thinking up here, she finds herself going to that impulse of yelling, right? And so I think that's relatable for many of us as well. Many of us came from homes where yelling was the way that mom or dad got your attention. Yelling. And so she's frustrated with herself because she is yelling. She's constantly feeling like she's losing control, and she just really is being very down on herself and not giving herself a lot of grace. So she talked me through a situation that happened with her child recently. And something I noticed was that in the moment when she felt like she lost control of her emotions, or in the moment when she finally did have to resort to yelling, it wasn't just that one situation. It wasn't just that one moment. And in fact, we were able to backtrack to identify, okay, so yes, this one situation occurred and it caused you to yell. However, there were so many other things happening in the background for you, internally for you, physiologically for you, that got you off balance and made it more likely for you to resort to the strategy that you don't like. Right? And so if that sounds familiar to you, let me know in the comments. Also, good morning, everybody who's popping in. We're talking about dysregulated parenting, and I'm telling a story of my client, who she gave me permission to talk about this. So one thing that I want to make note of is that a lot of times when we find ourselves in situations where we are yelling, we're losing control, we cannot be the best parent we want to be, it's not that one moment. And rather, there's this whole iceberg effect of we see the tip, but we haven't yet called attention to all the stuff that's under the surface. And so for her, when we really talked it out, we found out, girl, she was burnt out. She was touched out. She hadn't got good sleep the whole night before, the whole week before. The TVs were blasting. The kids were on the tablets, and she didn't like all the screen time. She said the dog kept barking. There was a lot going on for her that made it so that her system was not in a place to even be regulated enough to practice those parenting approaches that she wants to practice. And so this is where I come in, and I'm starting to talk a little bit more about dysregulation as parents, right? And so essentially what that means is that at any given moment, your body, your mind, your emotions could be in a state where you are not regulated, where you are off balance. And that could be emotionally. So that could look like being in an anxious state, a worried state, just not feeling well emotionally. That could be physiologically. You could be hungry. You could be tired. You could be like touched out. You could be just like physically irritated. That could be any of your senses. There might be too much noise. There might be too many lights glaring. Whatever it is, your body is not regulated enough to then have a mindful approach or have an intentional approach in a moment where things might escalate. So that is what I refer to as dysregulated parenting. And y'all would be surprised, or maybe not, honestly, because as you're hearing this, you might be saying, this is me. Many of us parent in a dysregulated state, I would say like 80% of the time. So if you are someone who is finding it hard to be a gentle parent, finding it hard to be a conscious parent, finding it hard to practice positive parenting, really whatever way that you want to parent, and you feel like you keep hitting roadblocks, you keep getting frustrated, you keep losing your cool, keep losing control, keep resorting back to the old ways that maybe you were parented, or this old way that you don't want to parent anymore, it could be that you're in a state of dysregulation and it's not allowing you to actually be in the moment, to have a mindful and intentional moment about how to proceed or how to approach a situation with your kids. And that happens a lot, y'all, a lot. The one thing that I know about these new parenting approaches, one, I love them because, again, I also am someone who was raised in a way where I see how it helped me become who I am. And I also know that there were some things that I probably still needed just in terms of emotional support, emotional cultivation, just like even physical support and intimacy from my parents. And I think some of these new parenting approaches, gentle, conscious, positive, whatever you choose, allow for that. They allow for us to make space for our kids' emotions. They allow for us to make space for our emotions. They allow for us to be more authentic in our relationship with our kids, and also help our kids to be authentic with us about how they feel. But the one thing I will say about those approaches is you got to be in a space where you really can think about it. Because for millennials specifically, we know the old ways and we're trying to do the new ways. And so these new ways are not going to come natural to us. And so that means we even more so have to be in a space where we're like so intentional and so mindful about, this is the move I want to make. But if you're dysregulated, all bets are off. So I just feel like this is something that I wanted to bring your awareness to, because I know that this happens so frequently, and it also happens so quickly that we don't even know that we're dysregulated. Like, some of y'all could be listening to this right now and be dysregulated as hell and not even realize it. I have a comment here. Car rides used to wear me out. I started turning the music off and it helped so much. Absolutely. So that's a perfect example of how in the car, you know, honestly, if you are a working parent and you are leaving work on your way to either get your kids or to meet your kids at home, the commute could be very dysregulating for some of you. It could be the traffic. It could be the time it takes. It could be the noise and the sounds of all the cars. Or if you have kids in your car, it could be literally the sounds and the noises they're making. It could be their music playing that is just not regulating to your body or your system. And then that sets you up to have an even more dysregulated evening. And then it increases the likelihood that there's going to be some blowups, that there's going to be some yelling, that there's going to be some interactions with your kids that you later are probably feeling bad about. And so I'm hoping that this also helps you to give yourself some grace. It's not that you are a bad parent. None of y'all are. I don't know y'all personally, but I don't think you're bad parents. It's not that you're not trying. And instead, there's something deeper that we can start to talk about more, that we can start to work on more. And it is, how do we get your body, your mind, your emotions into a more regulated state so that you can be more present, be more intentional, be more mindful of how you want to parent for the future. So y'all, I'm actually going to end it there today. I'm going to be talking so much more about this concept of dysregulated parenting for a few reasons. One, because I know personally and professionally how this impacts people, myself included. Two, I am working on a very exciting project. regarding self-regulation and dysregulation. And so I'm actually putting together a very independent research study, and I want to hear from you all, those of you who find yourself having dysregulated moments and frustrated by it. I want to hear from you about your experiences, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to be more connected about this topic that I'm going to be talking about, please join my email list, because that's how you will find out when that research study is ready. But then also, I'm going to be sharing a lot more in my email newsletter that comes out on the 1st and the 14th of every month about the topic specifically. So please come back to these lives as we talk more, dive more into this dysregulated parenting. Also, let me know if this topic is something you want to hear more about. DM me. Let me know. Ask me questions. We can maybe tackle some of those questions in the next live as well. Okay, y'all. I hope you have a great morning. Have a great day today, and we'll talk soon.